Thank you for trusting me with this launch. What an honor. And I think Anthony Trucker is joining us live.
Oh,
he has this background, not there.
My bad. It was all the background, not me for a second. No, I ran to the house real quick and then I came back out. It's Anthony Trucks, but Trucker sounds good too.
Oh my God, did I just call you Trucker?
Yeah, it's okay. I still love you.
I was just having a conversation with my 5-year-old son about a trucker. So it's
There
like
you go.
Freudian slip.
It's an odd name. Most people don't. There's not many humans last name Trucks. So it's totally okay. Totally okay.
You need to get brand sponsorship from like Ford, Ford
Trucks. Hey, so
yeah.
I'm starting a show at some point, which I was planning before COVID hit to start filming a show called The Truck Talks, where I would actually travel to different places in a flatbed of a truck, open it up, have a chat with people out in like, I don't know, open areas and just barbecue and talk, like a cool random interview process and just go deep. But then COVID hit. So there will be I'm going to try to get it sponsored, would be the goal by like, Ram and Chevy and all those different companies when the time comes. But wouldn't that be cool?
It's actually the most perfect excuse to do it now because you'll be in the open air,
I should do it. Do it.
For all the people who don't know you, I know you've got hundreds of thousands of followers on all your platforms, but you might be new to someone here on the Hey Hero platform. So
probably, yeah.
In 60 seconds, can you tell us?
In 60 seconds, I can. My name is Anthony Trucks. I'm a former NFL athlete, American Ninja Warrior on NBC, speaker, author, coach, and founder of Identity Shift, where I teach people how to increase or upgrade how they operate to reach their full potential. I focus on identity. And I'm a guy who's done a whole lot of cool, weird stuff. I grew up in foster care, was given away at 3, grew up in an all-white family, played college football, played the NFL, came home, broke my life, got divorced, had 3 kids with my high school sweetheart, got remarried 4 years ago, have an amazing marriage, incredible life, and I now get to go back and teach people how to make an identity shift to reach their full potential in life.
Okay, first of all, do you see all the hearts that are coming across? Because based on what you
I see hearts.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I love you guys too, man.
Story, I feel like there's something that someone can relate to. You're so relatable, and yet you're so unique. I guess I'll start with the NFL thing because I think you have a lot of fans in the sports world. The greatest lesson you've learned being part of the NFL, and go.
I'd say one of the greatest lessons is how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think there's a problem when people hear that with what it truly means. Because being uncomfortable, most people are like, be okay with having discomfort. But that's not what it means. What it means is this. Right. Think about a nice winter, night, and and there's no work to do, and there's, the family's on the couch, and you're in like your nice pajamas and a beautiful blanket, and you got like some warm hot cocoa, watching a movie, like that kind of like, ooh, visceral, fire's on. That kind of, I enjoy that comfort. When you have that level of comfort with things that make you uncomfortable or make most people uncomfortable, then you do them and you have more success at a natural, like kind of organic level. And so it's like to get comfortable, like enjoy discomfort sets you apart. That was a huge thing in football because it was an incredibly discomfort-ridden kind of situation. Every day your job can be taken from you. You're on display, full just you running around in a football field. You can get hurt. Like it's a ton of discomfort. So when you find joy, it's crazy.
Which is what happened, right? You injured yourself, and then your NFL career came to an end, which is such a common story you hear. So I guess, so much of life is not how you fall, but how you get back up. So what is the greatest lesson you've learned not being part of the NFL?
So not being part of it, that you have to be able to use the intangibles you learn and strip things from past experiences and apply them later on. Like, unfortunately, when football ended, my identity got ripped away from me, and I didn't think I was any good. And I tell people as a metaphor of like, we create things in life, and we're the fruit, and this amazing fruit of our life, this relationship, this career, whatever it is. And then maybe you lose your job, or you leave a sport, or you leave the military, you send a kid off to college, or you lose a job, or you break up with somebody. You feel like the fruit fell off the tree and just withered and died. And it's like, man, I feel horrible. And few people grasp the truth is you were never the fruit, but you were always the tree. And when you lean into the fact that like that tree created the fruit, now you can do great things. So football taught me in a weird way, like, dude, you're not football. It was just that's one piece of fruit. Go back and water the tree and prune the branches and create better, greater fruit in other areas.
So I was a broadcaster, a TV newscaster for a long time, and I recently left. And one thing I remember is, it's an unstable field, right? You
Yeah.
always hear colleagues get fired or contracts not renewed, etc. And you quickly learn in the business, this is what you do. Don't make it who you are.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have that, you're still on stable ground. Otherwise, I think you're always building your house on a muddy hill, right? It's
Yeah,
just
100%. Yeah, you can apply
okay.
other places.
Your life needs to be a movie. So I
Could
hope
be.
you're already in talks with people in Hollywood to like get the rights for that.
Not yet, but if you have any people you think of, man, let me know. I'll gladly have a conversation.
Let's give a summary for the newbies who don't know your story. So Anthony was taken out of the foster care at age 3, adopted by an all-white family. And then he was part of the NFL, which, if you follow news at all, has been the center of controversy on just how supportive or not as supportive it can be, or unsupportive, wherever you fall on the line,
Yeah.
of being supportive of the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement, rather. You are sitting in the junction of all these fires.
Yeah.
I would love to see and hear your perspective on what it is like to be an African American male, part of the NFL, all white family, and what you're seeing.
Whole lot of weirdness.
And the tension that has just existed in our country, sadly, for too long.
Yeah, man, it's a very interesting topic, and it's one that I'll gladly talk about, but it's never really been a prominent thing I spoke on. However, I have a really interesting take on it, I guess, right? So I grew up in a family, so I grew up in white America, Black. Like, it was a different dynamic because I wasn't in a diverse area. I have many, many Black moments. 3 days ago, I was in Reno, Nevada on a trip, and some guy in front of a restaurant we were eating that's pretty much attacking my oldest son and me, and you Black and niggers, and this is crazy, right? This still happens.
What?
Yeah, but it's the world we live in, right? What are you gonna do? I just kind of like, hey man, move along, because I'm still a bigger guy, so I can still kind of. But so I had those moments, but in the NFL it's different because when you're in the NFL, you're not focused on everything else. It's just, can I keep this job, right? But there's a bigger aspect of what's going on in the world, and dynamically it's very interesting because I'm not a neutral party in this. I have had enough Black moments to realize there's something going on, right? Do I know what it all is? And am I angry at everybody? Like, no, my best friend is a bald white police officer. Like, I have these weird dynamics. And so I try as best I can to stand in the middle and say, look, I can have my experience and be pissed, but it's not going to serve our society or my family if I am just, not listening to the other side. We're not trying to find that middle ground. And I've had a lot of podcasts and conversations about this, but here's what I believe. I believe that Black America and white America both have two different levels of really hard work that has to be done. I don't know what it is on each side. It's just a lot of hard work, we'll call it. And it's kind of like this concept of the Black community is mad at the white community, and the white community has certain things to be pissed at for Black community, and I get both sides of it to an extent. But here's the thing. If we want to live in this amazing united society, like, we have to look at it kind of like the situation of my marriage. My wife and I were high school sweethearts, married, 3 kids, got divorced. And then we got, we had our own partners. I had someone live with me. She had someone she lived with, like a different world. And then we both got separated, and we had 2 different houses. Now, I'm not going to move into her house because some guy lived there. She's not living in my house because a woman lived there, right? So we had to leave our respective houses and build a house together, which means I had to compromise. I had to give up certain things, do different work, just different aspects of what had to be done. And I think our society is kind of the same way. Like, we have to leave the house that we're in and kind of reluctantly do it, but to build a better united society on both sides. That work is different, right? There's going to be different acceptances and realizations and truths. But I think that becomes kind of like the figure point, because the Black Lives Matter concept is interesting. A lot of people are like, yeah, all lives matter. I get the logic. Yes, I get it. People are saying, like, obviously Black lives are being taken in higher numbers. I get that. But what if we just lived in a world where to say Black Lives Matter was kind of like, well, of course. Like, yeah, like, like almost like, what were you talking about? Like, I think we're all working towards a world where you don't have to make that statement because, of course, what are you talking about? Black lives matter. All lives do matter, right? Yeah. And I think that's kind of the conversation. I don't know how we get there or what that looks like, but societally, we've got to get to the point where we start having more open discussions and listening on both sides to get the point, to see what they're seeing. So I may have to accept, like, oh, okay, I got to do this on our side. Okay, oh, I got to do this on this side. And then we can kind of come to this level of whatever it looks like years from now, maybe, of having this acceptance of a full society that is unified the way we really all want.
I think that sometimes transformation is uncomfortable.
Oh, it is. Not sometimes, every time.
Things are being revealed, things are becoming transparent.
Yep.
And as uncomfortable as it is, you have to see the long-term effects, right? Where you're like, oh, this is just the uncomfortableness that comes with dismantling.
Yeah.
You know, things have to be revealed for things to actually change.
Yeah, because you can't change, you won't look at it.
Yeah. So that's the perspective I try to take on it. Okay, so for folks who are joining, and I see some of my regular followers on here who probably never heard of the Hey Hero platform. So let me just quickly explain.
Please do, yeah.
Hey Hero, in a nutshell, is it's sort of Cameo meets Masterclass. Cameo, for those of you who don't know, it puts you in direct contact with your favorite celebrities or influencers. And then of course, Masterclass is your favorite,
learning platform where you can hear learning information.
You have such a full spectrum of experts. I'm trying to have I guess experts is a good way to coin that. Everyone from Aaron Sorkin for screenwriting to Natalie Portman for acting, chefs, etc.
Yeah.
Cameo, unfortunately, is just like it's like a personal shout out that evaporates into thin air. So if your mom is like a big fan of Gordon Ramsay, you can get like Gordon Ramsay to say happy birthday, and then boom, it disappears. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think Hey Hero, the true value is you're getting one-on-one personal consultation with your favorite influencers. And I'm going to actually put it to use right now because I need to consult you on something.
Let's do it.
So I have been having these profound moments of revelations and things that happen in my life that through the lens of now and all we know and all that we're going through as a nation, I literally am reliving that experience and like taking away something entirely different. Yeah. So before I met my husband or we started dating, I was dating an African man. And he's from Ghana. He moved here when he's 16. He lived in Minnesota. And we were dating a few months and we ended up going to a rather fancy like restaurant on the Upper East Side of New York. And I'm consulting you on this because I wanted to do an Instagram post basically talking about how we all might have these sort of discoveries years later, right? Yeah. So it was like 8 years ago I'm dating this guy, and we go to this restaurant and there's like 4 diners and all white staff, all white diners, and I'm my boisterous self, and he shushes me and he's like, there are other diners here. For me, that was the beginning of the end of the relationship. And in my misguided mind, I immediately thought it was because he was Muslim. And in my stereotype of what Muslim women go through, I was like, oh, this is a Muslim thing. Yeah. I've fortunately now have enough Muslim friends in my life where I know the wives run the show. So I'm like, okay, that was misguided. Yeah. But, now when I look back, I think about as an African American or an African man, you're burdened with needing to be extra cognizant of your surroundings. And you carry this like backpack of like, I don't know, fear and burden all the time. And so I think back to that moment and I realized maybe it wasn't about me, right? Maybe it was him always needing to be like, play it safe. Don't be noticed.
In his lane, yeah.
Yeah, don't offend anybody. I'm a very accomplished Black man, and some people find that threatening, especially in an establishment that is very stuffy, very old school Upper East Side. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, I don't know, but I just feel like it's not so clear to me now that this was a man that was just like, shh, woman, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things here.
So
was 3. There's 3 specific things. So how do you post about it?
Can I post about it? And 2, is that like, I don't know, is that like, anytime I post anything about anything race tinged, people get so upset. And
everybody will. Yeah, you're gonna have that happen. I was on Success Magazine on their web. I had some videos done for them, and I had one discussion. It doesn't matter what you say, someone's gonna get mad. There's gonna be someone. So you kind of got to get off the fence and just ride a line and just do your thing. And then people will be happy, they be unhappy, it doesn't matter. I think there's 3 specific areas I would look at in this. One is, one I would do is have a conversation. I reach out, and as long as your husband's okay with it, reach out, have a conversation, talk about it. Because the unique thing is you're visiting it with a different heart, different head, different everything. So it's good that you're doing that. He might also, and it may be very enlightening for the 2 of you. It may be good for the post to say, I had this feeling. I then followed up with him 8 years later, had a discussion. As long as your husband's okay with it. Second thing I would do is realize this. There are 2 different dynamics of the human that were involved in that. There's the dynamic of him and needing to be in a place of acceptance and not, ruffling feathers. But then my question is, does it need to be like, so to stuff you up, whatever place, if you're being a little bit loud and everything, okay, maybe he was bottled in and he needed to come out and let you pull him out by being boisterous and loud. Like maybe it's something he needed at the time, but he didn't know at the time. Maybe that could be what he realized. Second is the way that he addressed you, I think, is if you are trying to be with somebody, you have to realize that people, like you said, it's the beginning of the end for you. You have to understand how to have a conversation with somebody about something that's hard. And doing something abrasive like that is typically not the way, because people throw up these walls and now you can't get past it. And so he may be doing that still. He may have done that and regretted it in aspects, and other human beings need to learn, like, okay, this happened. I do this with my wife now. This happened. Me being rude is not going to help her learn what I needed to learn or discussion we have to have, because there's an immediate wall of ego and pride and I'm not getting through. Yeah. So what would have been better is like pull you to the side, like, hey, just wanted to have this, this thought. I love how you are. I love your boisterousness, but I think in this environment, I'm a little uncomfortable with you doing that because of, we have a discussion, talk about it. Now, you may not take it well, and that's totally cool, but at least I did it in a more respectful way, or at least planted a seed that we can say, hey, we'll talk about it later. Let's just have a good dinner. And then later on in a non-emotional moment, then you have the discussion so you both can grow from it. But I think that it was, not handled well, in my opinion, personally. Like, I don't think that's the right way to talk to anybody. That's just my kids, and they're in a right, hey, kids. but
I just want to point out to everybody on here, did you see how that consultation worked? I mean, for me, at my business and my line of work, a lot of it is on social media. Mm-hmm. And so I put a lot of weight on what I post. So I consulted Anthony Trucks just now on, do you think this will ring with people? And so then Anthony will charge a set fee for that kind of consultation. And then that's the beauty of this business, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
You can get, I mean, if you go on the Hey Hero platform, there's like chefs, there's stylists, there's the whole gamut. And I love one, I think I recently saw one that was really, really so smart. Someone was trying to get into the food business of becoming a chef or a food stylist. And they reached out to someone who had already sort of established that space and said, how do you take really good pictures of your food without spending a fortune?
Yeah.
And that chef was able to immediately reply and give tangible advice. And so this is what we're talking about. We're trying to just give you info that you can use in your life. And instead of like trying to Google articles on your favorite people, I mean, you can literally just have a real conversation one-on-one with your
person. It's just really, really fun because the work I do, like I coach in specific veins and areas, but something like this is great because it's phenomenal questions that most people are too afraid to ask, or they don't ask, right? They just, or they may ask snippets of it in like a weird, like a missing message, but I don't have time. I don't carve out time. But something like this is great. It's like laser coaching, super quick, hop on, ask a question, get the answer you need, and you have it forever and always to move on from.
Oh my God, we only have like 10 minutes left.
Oh, is that time flies? You're having fun.
Literally evaporating. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff. Okay, well, it's all been good stuff, but I'm just trying to think. Sometimes, like when people hear the Hey Hero concept, they need a little more direction in the types of questions that will best utilize their money and time. So what are some of the questions people can ask you as someone who is one of the most popular life coaches and whatnot? Like what can they get most like bang for their buck? What kind of questions?
I call it body, bonds, and business. That's kind of my weird realm. So body in terms of like I used to play professional football. I had degrees in kinesiology, and I owned a gym for a decade that I recently consulted with large organizations, made great money consulting. So the fitness aspect, from a realistic, like, how do I do this? Not like giving you a bunch of weird big words you don't need, but like, Aunt, I want to gain some muscle, want to lose some weight. I'll give it to you straight. Then it's like bonds, like the bonds of our relationships. I've done some weird things in life to have phenomenal friendships, amazing marriage. but there's some unique little aspects of how I actually work with other human beings to create great relationships. And then business. I've been in business since 2008 in about 3-4 different industries. And I've got some really unique insight ideas of how to work in brick and mortar. I had a brick and mortar business and the online world. So whether someone's like, hey, I want to do a coaching program, or I want to, be able to grow my social media, or I want to open a brick and mortar business, what should I think about? Those are odd things that I happen to have a wealth of knowledge on. And so those are my areas that I cover. Parenting and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. Divorce, going through.
Yeah, I've been through that. Yeah.
Okay. So folks, I pinned Anthony Truck's Hey Hero profile on the comments. So that's what you click on if you want to have a personalized consultation with Anthony. And I want to hook people up with some free advice while we have you here for their time. I want to hook them up. A lot of people in despair right now. I mean, so many millions without jobs.
Yeah.
It's easy to say keep a positive perspective, but it's a hard one to grasp.
It is.
Can you give like a really specific detail advice on what is like the first thing they should do if they find themselves in that kind of situation?
100%. So the thing is, we're operating, you operate out of a feeling. We always operate out of feelings. Do I feel empowered? Do I feel weak? Do I feel like it's going to work out? And if I don't feel that, I won't take action, or I won't take it consistently. Right. So in the world right now, like my work is personal development in the realm of identity. Most people want to make a shift to reach their full potential, get a better paying job, fix their marriage, whatever it is. So I want to do something greater. And what I find is a lot of people, they want to proactively do it typically. They reach out, hey, I want to do this. How do we, grow this, build this, become this, do this. And then what you have right now is a very interesting dynamic, which is the world is in a reaction. Reaction is difficult because it's hard. Like, I didn't plan this, but I'm forced to do this. So the problem is when things are forced upon me, I feel helpless. So the motion, the energy to do much, it gets ripped away. So what I tell people, simplistic thing, take control of one specific thing that you can do, because that single thing, I don't care if it's a morning routine, catching a workout, like learn to force yourself to take control, because it gives you a feeling of a little bit more hope, a little more power to then progress on to take a bigger action. But if you feel like you're a leaf in the wind at all times, it's a very devastating feeling to live in consistently, because you're waiting for like something to happen. It's kind of like being in a game as an athlete, waiting for someone to make a play, or you go make the play.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I'm always big on, let's find a simple thing. I don't know what it is. Find that, even if it's reading for 20 minutes a day, like choose something you can take control over and say, man, I feel good that I got that done. What else can I go do?
Yeah, I love that. Another thing I love that you often coach about is how much we live in a comparative culture.
Oh, we do.
And you and I have, we've grown with social media, and almost at the very undercurrent of social media is people comparing their lives to other people. Yeah. And it's so toxic. And I know there are people watching you right now being like, how come I can't be him? He looks young. Why can't I make a living doing my passion? Like, comparing. How do you step away from that? Yeah,
you set your own scale. That's it. I have this conversation all the time with people. There's got to be this perspective of, so when I was younger, I would do things to build a business and take actions, and I would feel great about what I accomplished. And then someone in the world or somebody I knew would come out and say, oh, yeah, but you didn't do this. And then it immediately becomes this thing where you sit back, you're like, man, I kind of feel bad because I thought it was good and it wasn't good. And then what happens is you're comparing yourself to the world's scale, which is ridiculously unsexed, and it's fluid, and there's billionaires who want more money. Like, no one's happy. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to set my own scale in private, and I'm going to have one or two other people give me insights that stretch that a little bit higher. But then now what happens is I go after that and I feel good about getting that. And then the comparison disappears, because I don't care about what you're doing, because I know that if I achieve this, I can feel good about this. And someone can come in and say, oh, but you didn't do da-da-da-da-da. And you can say, okay, let me look at that. Hold on, let me take a look at my scale. You know what? On my scale, this is pretty good. So you can go and have that pain. And I stay here and I feel happy.
What I tell my kids is I have a son and a daughter, and, the sibling rivalry is real. And my son often asks me, he's like, who do you love more, me or Lulu? And I tell him, I said, there's a sun and the moon. Both illuminate in their own ways, and we need both. And they both have their own function.
Yeah, they're all different.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
So you can't compare the moon to the sun.
No.
And that gives him a little more peace for about 5 minutes, and then he'll ask it again.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the nature of the world we live in. My man Evan Carmichael, he likes my set. This was one of my buddies who told me to do it. But no, I agree. There's a comparison thing, and it really, I feel like in my head, I'm always thinking about, I want the next moments of my life to be great. And if I want the moment's future to be great, I need to have the moment now be great for that. And so I operate, I have a persistent perspective of like, not everybody's as happy as they see online. And that life is great, but as much as that looks great, maybe they have the money and the cars, behind the scenes, they may hate the rest of their life. And so like, I don't want to think about the rest of that. I want my own scale of what makes me feel good. So I don't have to compare myself for joy. If I know what I love, I'm happy.
We also just have a few minutes left. And I also love your message about how in order to embrace the new you, you have to like let the old you go.
Oh yeah, you gotta let it all go. You gotta
and that is so hard for people. That is so hard for people.
Well, that's all you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. What do you say to the people that are like, well, why can't I hang on to my old me and build on that? Like, I need this context. I had this history. I need, you know, that gives me an extra dimension. Why do I need to let that go? Yeah,
well, if you're swimming at the top of the ocean and you're hanging onto a rope that has an anchor, you're not gonna get to the air unless you let go of the rope. It'll just carry you down. So I have a conversation like this all the time. I find that this is actually something that happens consistently for a lot of people because they want to hold on. And here's what it is. In this world, we need acceptance as human beings. I got to know I'm accepted in a group or community or whatever society it is. And what happens is I feel like the things I do keep me in this place of acceptance. And if I let go of that, I don't have anybody that loves me yet. Who's going to like me? Who's going to be around? And so what it is we pretty much get addicted to the struggle, or this is the thing. The evil we know is better than the evil we don't.
Yeah.
Like, I know this evil. I know it's not great. And so I want to stay here. And it's like, at the end of the day, these things you want, you can't be this person to have these things, or you already have those things.
Yeah.
So you got to become somebody different, see things different. It is a scary thing. So it's kind of like you have to let go of it and realize, here's the big thing. That's the fruit. You're not the fruit. You're the tree.
Yeah.
So let go of that. Like, and then you can go over here, plant a new tree. And guess what? You know how you built the first tree. There's certain things you did, but now you get to build this tree with new information and new fertile ground because you went somewhere new, learned something different, new group, new environment. So find some opportunity. It's a scary thing. A simple metaphor. The last one too. It's like going into a cave. You know, in that cave there's a monster and treasure, but all you're focused on is the monster all day long. But you've slayed monsters in the past. That treasure is behind the monster. Go in and slay the monster, even if it's going to be hard. But you know that treasure's there. Stop focusing on the monster, focus on the treasure and go after it. Yeah. And it's scary, but when have you died doing this? You're still alive. You've slayed monsters. Like, go do that again, and you'll find the treasure is far greater than what you thought it was going to be.
Chrissy Mack, 33. She's one of my people. She says, thank you so much for sharing. Great advice. You are so authentic. Yay.
Thank you.
And Evan Carmichael.
You don't know Evan? Oh, get a hold of Evan. That's a bad man right there. He's good.
Just meeting. This is.
Yeah. He is a YouTube guru, humongous heart. Dude, he's the one that's responsible for my new backdrop. He's like, hey, change that up.
Like, oh, that makes sense. I'm really sweating your background hard.
Yeah, right? No, great guy. You definitely got to reach out to that guy. He is probably a phenomenal person to be on the Hey here also. Yeah, get a hold of him for sure.
Look at my background. I basically sat in a peacock chair so I could block out all the toys and mess that's happening behind me. But Evan, let's talk. Let's get myself a little lit logo back here.
Make it happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's 10:59, and right after you, we have another influencer joining us.
I got a podcast I'm going to now.
Yeah, she's got a wellness fitness space. Her name is Bianca Jade. So I hope everyone stays right here, and we'll get a whole new expert advice on a new arena. But Anthony, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Anthony Trucks. Here's what I want. I want you to launch your pickup truck show and then like pull up right in front of our house, and we'll actually do it in person.
I'm down. I'm down. Count me in.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Ann.
No problem. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.